Hey guys, it's Cluster, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a YouTuber called Cosmodore. So if you don't know about the drama happening with this guy, I'll sum it up. Cosmodore is a channel on YouTube that reviews animation movies or television series, and about a year ago he got exposed for grooming a minor. Well, actually, he exposed himself on Twitter. He, out of nowhere, admitted that he had in a relationship with a 15-year-old girl when he was 19. And what's worse is he admitted that he knew of the girl's age, however her age became irrelevant to him because he really liked her. Then he made a community post admitting to what he had done and also made a video, now deleted, stating he was going to take a break from YouTube. But as soon as he released this information, people became outraged and disgusted with what he had done. I honestly don't know what Cosmodore was expecting. What, to get sympathy for what he had done? So people started making videos on him. They also found out through the victim he was a very controlling and bad boyfriend. He would even stalk his ex even after they had broken up. So Cosmodore ended up temporarily deleting his channel and Twitter, but recently he's returned to YouTube. If you want to know all the details of this drama, then I highly suggest you watch the video DaftPinas made on Cosmodore. I'll have his video in the description. Anyway, the reason I'm making this video is because he has recently made a video called Defending Myself. The reason he's made this video is because ever since his return to YouTube, his recent uploads have been getting more dislikes than likes and just comments calling him a child groomer. So that's why I'm making this video, to go through his response and talk about the points he makes I disagree with.
As you may know, I live in Germany, and age of consent laws are a little different here than they are in the United States, as you're not considered a child anymore when you turn 14, and that's the environment I grew up in. I've had people in my high school dating 15-year-olds when they were 19, just like my ex and me. My mom dated her 18-year-old boyfriend when she was 14, and no one ever batted an eye on that. And that's the fact for most of Europe.
Yes, Cosmodore, it is true that the legal age of consent in Germany is 14. However, the person you were in a relationship with was living in America, and the state she is from, the legal age of consent is 16. You cannot be in a relationship with a 14-year-old if they live in a country where their age of consent is higher than 14.
And finally, I can talk about the age of consent in my country. Despite popular belief, I'm not German. I don't live in Germany. Cosmo's intentionally being vague as to not disclose my location to imply I also live in Germany, but I do not. I live in America. Now, since I don't want to dox myself, in my state, the age of consent is 16. When we started dating, I was 15. And during the time we were still together, Cosmo turned 20. Eventually I did turn 16 during our relationship, but this was late in, and we broke up a short while after that, and going back in and out, being in a relationship.
Now, because I knew American sensibilities are a little different, I did try to keep my relationship a secret because I really didn't want people accusing me of being a pedophile, but that is exactly what happened. I'm still being called a pedophile for it over something I did when I was a teenager, and I can confidently say that is not the case.
Whoa. You just admitted to knowing that the age of consent of where she lived was 16. So you've basically admitted to having committed a crime. And you say you didn't want people knowing that you were in this relationship when you knew it was illegal? Okay, so why did you come out on Twitter then?
I never exchanged nudes with anyone. I never had any sexual conversation besides weird Rule 34 shit you can find on most every Twitter timeline. I never met up with my partner. Literally nothing happened.
Still, that doesn't excuse the fact that you exchanged Rule 34 art, which is pornography, to minors.
And I'm still being called a danger to kids, or that I'm trying to lure in fans by making cartoon videos, which I'm pretty sure only stems from the belief that just because I make videos on animation, that means all my fans are underage, when you can simply look at my analytics and realize that is not the case. So there's that.
Well, Cosmodore, those analytics are not entirely accurate. Let me explain. A lot of people under the age of 18 make Google accounts that say their age is above 18 because they want to watch age-restricted content on YouTube. And I've done this before on past YouTube accounts when my actual age is 17. So you cannot entirely count on your analytics.
It was long before we started dating, and never did I ever have any intentions of having our relationship become sexual. They themselves had an NSFW Twitter account at the time, which led me to believe they were overage, and even they themselves said the images they shared were nothing more than a joke to them.
Cosmodore, how can you just assume because they just have an NSFW Twitter account that she was overaged. Anyone can have an NSFW Twitter account. And if you thought she was overaged but then found out she was actually 15, why did you keep talking to her?
So I don't really get how you can go from sending Rule 34 to someone who has an entire account dedicated to sharing Rule 34 to thereby grooming them by sending them stuff they already share around themselves. I just really don't get it.
Again, Cosmodore, there is a difference, and that difference is age. You were 19, an adult, and she was 15, a minor. Adults cannot share pornography to minors, only to other adults. And you say that you only shared it with each other as a joke? Even if it's a joke, she is still a minor, and you admitted that you and her were dating. That's why people are disgusted with what you did.
Now granted, I did learn of the age eventually, and in hindsight, it would have saved me a whole lot of trouble had it just backed away at that point. But from my perspective, living in a country where the age of consent is as low as it is, I saw this as a consenting relationship between two people, and since even their mom was okay with us dating, I stopped questioning the age difference after a while.
Again, she's not from Germany.
And I am in no way excusing my country's laws when it comes to that, but please, I ask that you try and understand where I'm coming from, and that I wasn't trying to hurt this person by putting them in a situation they were uncomfortable with.
I mean, you admitted this later on in your video.
Let me be clear that I was not a good boyfriend to my ex. I expected way too much of them, I made them undercharge their work they did for my channel mascot, which I have since retired because they said it gives them panic attacks and I don't want to worsen their mental state. I publicly called them out over very minor mistakes, and I stalked them when I couldn't get over them.
So that is kind of putting the person in an uncomfortable situation.
And frankly, it's a bit narrow-minded to disregard other countries' cultures just because that's not how you grew up and came to see the world.
No one's disrespecting your culture. I could give less of a shit if your age of consent laws are 14. Everyone's disgusted because you tried to date a 15-year-old where the culture she is from, the legal age of consent is 16.
But I didn't groom anyone. And if you genuinely wanted me to get help, I'm getting it. And my therapist agrees with me. He encouraged me to make videos again, and either our whole worldview is fundamentally flawed or I just don't know what else to tell you.
Oh, Cosmodore, don't do a mini lad, please, where you say you're getting help and talking to therapists. You getting help doesn't make what you did better. No one's gonna watch this and be like, oh, I forgive Cos for what he's done because he's getting help now. No, it's not how this works. And for the last time, if you're so confused why people are so outraged over the age gap, it's because you were in a relationship with a 15-year-old girl living in a state of a country where the age of consent is 16. You live in a country where the age of consent is 14. So you are not allowed to have a relationship with her or share Rule 34 with her because in her country, she classes as a minor. It's that simple, Cos. And you claim that all of this has made you suicidal, depressed, and has fucked with your mental health. However, you brought this upon yourself. When you literally admitted to knowing at the beginning of your relationship, you knew you could get into trouble, but decided to say, fuck it, I don't care, this is all on you. Anyway, that's the rest of the points I disagree with Cosmodore on. Cosmodore, if you're watching this, I think it's best if you leave YouTube. Everyone's disgusted with what you've done, and the internet's not a forgiving place.